Okay, so at the very, very end of your drawing, this is kind of what it should look like. So you have, as I said in the other video, you have 3 phases or 4 phases. You have the original template, so that is the grid that you put down. As you can see, this really light blue line is evidence of that. The second thing is the light green line that I used. You can try different colors, but I used a light green line, and that was my geometric individual cubes. Just like we did here, just using a straight line geometric construction of individual cubes. After that, I used red and I started to make things organic. Then after that, I've committed to those lines and I drew a blue line around the red line. Now I'm using the red line because a lot of it was covered by the blue line, right? So I want the red line to still be part of the design, and I'm going to use it as transparent lines. So as I'm going back into these forms, I'm drawing in some of the transparency. For example, here's a good example here. I just redrew, see this shape here? I just redrew it on the other side as if it was transparent. In order to do that, you have to draw everything back as you did before, geometric straight lines, and then you can start to curve it. Don't invent it and try to wing it. It's never gonna look right. So there's a couple little spots here on the left side of here and on the back side of there. I can start to, and even here, I think I can, oh no, that's done. I can add the transparent line. So again, this is the last, very, very last phase. This is basically done. It's just a couple little moments where you can add more depth to your drawing. As you can see here, I tried to apply it here as well. This little elliptical form, I applied it here and I applied it here. In order to do that, I had to draw the geometric rectangle it came from as it went into the form, and it looks like it's kind of going through it a little bit, which is kind of nice. Here's a good example of it here, the transparency. Actually, this is a really good example. The original geometric green form here, and then the form I drew within that form, the organic form, and then the transparency within. So I'm gonna take this guy here, and remember, this is a form that kind of tapers down and becomes smaller, so it looks a little odd. So the thickness of line was basically 2 of these spaces. So I'm just gonna line this up, use my grid to make sure my line's straight, put a line there, right? So it's parallel to this line. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna just count 1, 2 spaces, and then I'm gonna go over just a little bit, and then put a line there. All I'm gonna do now is, I already have this rounded. I just have to round the other side. So I take this smaller line, because I'm basically replicating that right here. Yes, and I'm going to run this over to the other side in the same fashion. I think it's on a diagonal up. So I think, see this line here? I have to go on a diagonal up. So it would go here. You can kind of say the distance between here and here is about right there. And then I'm gonna run a line across to right here. So you can kind of see that I threw the transparent line in. That's how easy it is. And if you want to take out some of the straight lines that you put in that are in red so they don't confuse the viewer, you can lighten them a little bit, but that's all I want you to do. It can exist here as well. Actually, since the line's still there, what it would do is something like this, but again, I don't want you to wing it, because now you can see that my lines are not even and thick. So I think it's 3 spaces and it goes on a diagonal. So it would come down and kind of go like this. That was just a quick version. I didn't want to go too deep in there. I'm just gonna apply this one here now. So what I do is I take this back corner here, and again, I've been consistent about how deep my lines are, but I take the back corner, I bring it over, and basically, I think I'm just doing this. Yeah, and then I take this line here, because it ties into that line, and I'm gonna draw a line straight up, and basically I just round it and it should fall right into that line. So you can kind of see that I got the same transparency, and I can even run it around. Here's the old line, so I can just blend it in there, and then I can bring it back down here. Because there's a lot of lines there that I can use, so I don't have to really redraw every single thing in. So you can kind of see the transparency there. Again, it adds depth. The first thing you're gonna see is the darkest line, and then the second thing should be the transparency. Third thing should be the geometric original form, and then after that, maybe the grid on behind it. I'm gonna do one more right here. And this shouldn't take too long. And add a line here. And all I was gonna do is just round it off. And I'm looking at this round here. I'm just gonna replicate that same round. And again, this is like a light line, so it's not very critical if you mess it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna add a line here, go straight down, and I'm gonna do a little tiny curl. Boop. So you can kind of see I just put in the transparency line. It doesn't go all the way straight down, I just noticed that. It actually curls back in this way. So it does one of these things. And then if I want to do the bottom part, I believe it's about that thick. And then I can curl that in here. And I just made my transparent line. So look around. If there's any opportunity to put that in, do it. And basically, I'm considering this complete. And I'll photograph this and post it on the project page. And we'll move on to the next project after this.